In a Pokemon Draft League. Oh, okay. Who am I? Who am I kidding? If you're watching this, you either already know what a draft league is, you know who I am, hi, or but okay, yeah. Uh, so Commander and Conquer, of course, my draft league team, still Commander and Conquer. Hello, I'm Jaws. You know all this. We're invited to the Cherish Ball League. The Cherish Ball League is a mid to low tier Nat Dex league, so every Pokemon that isn't too good is allowed. There are, I believe, 12 coaches. Yes, 12 coaches. Each of us were given only 75 points to draft our team, with the highest point value being 13. And we were only allowed up to two 12 or 13 Pokemon and up to two 1 or 2 Pokemon. So, a little more of a balanced draft compared to other leagues. But LWCA is going on. That's Gen 7. Normally it would be NatDex, but it's not this time. So I needed a little bit of a NatDex kick. So here we are. And I'm just going to be pseudo quickly going over Commander and Conquer's team for Season 4 of the Cherish Ball League. Alright, guys. Commander and Conquer is back for another draft league, the Cherish Ball League this time. You heard all this in the intro, so I'm just going to go straight over with the team that we drafted for this season. First up, we have Phil the Hydrapple. Now, of course, this being a mid-low tier draft board, there's a lot less wall breakers, so getting a nice defensive core is actually really important. And what better first part of the core than Hydrapple? Everyone loves Hydrapple. It's a cool Pokemon. It gets, it's almost always going to be running Regenerator, but hey, Sticky holds an ability. But I mean, this thing gets tons of sets. It can run, it can run Nasty Plot with like Giga, and it's of course its signature move, Fickle Beam, Big Pog. I can run like Eject Pack with Draco Leaf Storm. It gets Earth Power. You can see some of the moves, but I'm not showing all of them. I can run physical if I want. Not that I ever would, but I can run like more utility physical moves like Detail, Body Press, fucking Gyro Ball. I don't know. It gets Sucker Punch. Maybe. Yawn. Good move. But solid start to a Regenerator Core. Grass Dragon. Fantastic type. Uh, does have a few common weaknesses, but we can cover that up with the rest of the team. These stats are awesome. You can't see all of them. Actually, hold up. Now you can see all of them. But I mean, these stats are pretty good. So, good first round pick. And then, of course, what good is one Regenerator Mon when you can have two? We got Big the Slowbro. I was hoping for Slow King instead, because Slow King is not only cheaper, it's more specially defensive to go along with Hydrapple's physical bulk, but we'll take Slowbro. So, it's a Slowbro. It gets every move it ever needs. It gets Scald, it gets Slack Off, since this is NatDex, it gets Teleport back. Whoa, big move. It can run Curse, Physical if I'm weird as well. Expanding Force is a move if I ever decide that I can run that. It gets Seismic Toss, Toxic, T-Wave. Literally another Yawn, Future Sight if my opponent, they're just a force movement. It's just another solid Regenerator Pokemon. It does cover Hydrapple's big ice weakness. They are both weak to Bug, which sucks, but we can deal with that later. And Hydrapple, of course, covers Slowbro's electric weakness. Doesn't cover anything else. Or it covers grass. It does cover grass, my bad. It covers grass and electric. But so they cover each other's weaknesses, kinda. But both being weak to Bug is a problem. We'll deal with it later. But our next pick is Straze the Silvally. Now, Silvally this early seems really weird, I know. It's composite Silvally, meaning all of these I can just choose. I can just choose per battle which type I want to be, which is insane. Or I can just be normal and run a normal actual item. But another fun fact, Silvally does not reveal its type until it hits the field. So until Silvally hits the field, my opponent's just going to be guessing the entire time what type I am, and it's very funny. But I mean, Silvally's normally just a pretty good support Pokemon. You know, it gets Parting Shot, it gets Thunder Wave, it gets Defog for some reason. Multi Attack is a solid. It's 120 stab, no drawback. It's 95 all around, so it's not hitting particularly hard. But I mean, this Pokemon can do more or less anything. It gets Draco Meteor for some reason if I decide to run Dragon, or if I just want a big Dragon move for literally no reason. It gets Magic Coat. It gets, Toxic. It gets U-Turn if I don't want a Parting Shot in case there's a soundproof Pokemon. It gets Tri-Attack in case I want to be an asshole. It gets Steel Beam in case I want to kill myself. It gets Roar. It gets Psychic Fangs. It gets Pursuit back since this is Nat Dex. It gets Explosion. I could go on for another 20 minutes about all the useful moves this Pokemon gets. But I won't. Just know that this Pokemon will be really good. In fact, it was kind of expensive, I will admit. But Composite Silvally, insane. It's an insane thing to have. Just because it forces my opponent to predict in the battle what type I am. Really cool. Next up, we have Acheron, our Mega Absol. Now, in this league, Megas do not have to Mega turn 1. Not that I'm ever going to make very good use of any of these abilities, but hey man, maybe I can stay in on a Dark type move and get a Justified boost before I Mega. I don't know. Mega Absol, insane Pokemon for how cheap it was. This thing was 3 points. This is like tied for the second cheapest Mega, which is diabolical in my eyes. Look at these stats and tell me why this is 3 points. I don't care if it's not. I don't care if it's technically on the slower side. This is mid tier. Nothing is above like 130, except for Alakazam or some shit. But 150 attack. It gets Sucker Punch. It got Close Combat in Gen 8, so we actually have a Mega Absol that can use a fighting type move that's not Superpower. Its special attack is lower, but it's still pretty good, and it gets, not that. It gets Flamethrower. It gets the Elemental Beams. I'm pretty sure it even gets the Elemental Big Beams. It does, just in case I need a little more firepower. It gets Baton Pass. Dry Pass is allowed in this league. It gets Mega Horn. It gets Perish Song. Magic Bounce is a very good ability. It means I can't get Thunder Waved. I can just lead with this thing to stop hazards if I really want to. Pursuit Trapping with 150 attack is also just insane. It itself gets T-Wave and Willow if I want to run a more supporty set, which, I mean, I guess I can if I do lead. But, just another Pokemon that gets a lot of moves, and being able to Magic Bounce back hazards will help protect our Regenerator Core. And also, I mean, just Pursuit Trapping is just really good. And so, like, it's Silvally. It's Silvally again, but it gets a better ability. And in terms of versatility, I mean, it's the same as Silvally. Insane versatility. Not as much as Silvally, which is insane, but this Pokemon gets moves. Now, if you're paying attention, you'll notice we have 3 Pokemon weak to Bug, and that's kind of dumb. So, we got a Quad Resist in Ethel or Ceruledge. Now, Ceruledge, I have not been able to use, and I've wanted to use this Pokemon since Scarlet Violet came out in a draft league, but I've never been able to, and now I can. A little weaker on the physical defense. Weak Armor won't help that, but we do have Weak Armor. If Weak Armor, Swords Dance, or Weakness Policy, that's common. But I mean, it gets moves as well. Bitter Blade is an insane move. Close Combat, of course. Poltergeist, Shadow Claw if I overpredict. It gets Iron Head. I didn't even know it got Iron Head. But we haven't really revealed any reason to ever run Flash Fire yet. Yeah, nothing so far has been weak to fire unless I run like an ice type Silvally, which why would I do that? But so Flash Fire is not going to be very useful. It's more so going to be Weak Armor trying to potentially set up for sweeping. But this is more so just going to be, this is our Spin Blocker, of course. This is our U-turn switch in, just because it takes practically 0 damage. And actually, if we switch in on a U-turn, that can trigger our weak armor, and then we can start punching holes from there. We don't even need the Swords Dance. We have 125 attack. Bitterblade, Close Combat, Poltergeist will just tear through some teams. And yeah, that's Cerulege. Now, at this point, we still need our Grounded Poison and a Dark type. Of course, both of those can be filled by Silvally, but we don't talk about that. So we have Honnold, not to be confused with his climactic counterpart from Alola. This is Honnold, our Hisuian Quillfish. Dark Poison type, also really good Pokemon. Intimidate with this stat spread when it can run Eviolite. This thing is very hard to kill. Of course, it's a Dark Poison type. It's only weak to ground, so I can just run an Air Balloon if I want to be even meaner. But I mean, 85 speed, I can technically turn this into an offensive threat if I really want to. I believe it gets Swords Dance. Let me check that before I say something. It does get Swords Dance, so I can, it can do that. But most of the time, it's just going to be, hazards. Barb Barrage is pretty funny. Coin Flip to poison them is pretty good. I mean, it gets Pain Split, I guess, but it gets Taunt. Taunt on a mon. This is a pretty good speed tier for a lead Tauntmon. Since a lot of lead Pokemon are either, a lot of them are faster than it, but also a lot are slower than it. So it gets Haze. Toxic, of course. There's not really as much with Honnold here. I needed a Grounded Poison, and Honnold just sort of filled that role, while also being a pretty good Pokemon. Next, we have Beakon, our first Terra Captain of the Kilowattrel. Now, I have used Kilowattrel before. This is the only Pokemon on this team that I recall ever using before. I'm not gonna lie, but these abilities are kind of bad. We're most likely going to be running Volt Absorb most week unless we can predict Intimidate and just run competitive and consider that better than Electric Immunity. Wind Power just kind of sucks. But Kilowattrel, specifically as a Terra Captain, is pretty good. When it's not a Terra Captain, it's kind of mid, because it gets one set. This is the set 90% of the weeks. If Kilowattrel's coming, this is probably the set, and my opponent will also know that because it's a Kilowattrel. What else does it do? It's not really bulky enough to run Roost. Maybe it's Terra Blast flying instead of Hurricane, and I'm running T-Wave or something. But, Volt Switch, T-Bolt, Terra Blast with coverage, Terra type, Hurricane that's just the set. Maybe if I'm fighting a rain team, I'll bring Weather Ball, or if I'm fighting a snow team, I'll bring Weather Ball. I don't know, but this is the set. Fast Pokemon, doesn't hit as hard, but I can boost that up with E-Belt or Life Orb or Specs or any of that if I don't want to run Boots. At this point in the draft, I still don't have a spinner, but there's a lot of spinners in this draft, so I should be fine, is what I'm thinking. But I have Defog on Silvally if need be. And if I have to run Boots on Kilowattrel often, I have to run Boots on Kilowattrel often. That's fine. It's fast enough that its main purpose is just get in, Volt Switch out, just slowly chip down tankier threats, or just blitz them. And that's Beakon. Next up, I wanted a Fairy type, of course, because the Fairy type is a very nice thing to have. Didn't have one yet. Psychic, also a nice type to have. So we have Nino, the God of War. Another situation where 90% of the time I'm going to be running Trace, just because it's Trace, stealing or not stealing, but copying another ability is really good. Synchronize, potentially also pretty good depending on what I'm fighting. But, it's Gardevoir. You know what this thing does. It's fairly speedy special attacker. It gets moves. It's another Pokemon that just gets moves. Energy Ball, Moonblast. It's a psychic fairy, dude. It gets moves. I don't know what else you want me to say here. It gets Healing Wish, it gets Heal Bell. So it can serve as a decent cleric, I guess. If you're watching the LWCA videos, which some of you are, I'd hope. But you did see a physically defensive Gardevoir go kind of stupid in a match. I don't think I'll ever do that. I'm not insane, but maybe. Oh yeah, it gets teleport. That's a fun move. Triple axle in case I want to use that nice 65 physical attack. Easy. I mean, yeah, it's a Gardevoir. I mean, it gets wish. I can do a cleric Gardevoir if need be, if nothing else. But I mean, nothing is really. I mean, this is just a good build. So I mean, maybe I'll run this. I don't know, but that's Nino. And then we have our second Terra Captain Jormungandr, the Steelix. Now, this Pokemon has one stat, but that one stat is very good. It's so good, in fact, that I like almost never have to invest in it. Meaning I can run this like um, super bulky Pokemon. But I also why'd I pick Steelix? I needed a Steel. Second, Electric Absorber is good since Kilowattrel might not always be running Volt Absorb, and maybe Savali won't be ground. Savali really puts a wrench in a lot of the type things because it's like, oh, but I already have Savali for that, whatever. Um, Rockhead as a Terra Captain is pretty good because it does get if I spell it right, it does get head smash, so I can do Terra Rockhead head smash if I really want to. I think that's the only recoil move it actually gets that'd be useful. I mean, Terra Normal Double Edge, I guess, is something I could do, but but most of the time I am going to be running Sheer Force. I mean, it gets moves that use Sheer Force pretty well. So I mean, like it gets Ice Fang, of course, it gets Rock Slide. It gets, I believe I have to run Earthquake. I don't think it gets a better ground move for Sheer Force. No, it does not. So I'll just be running Earthquake. But I mean, Iron Head Sheer Force boost is pretty strong. It's not. I mean, 85 attack is nothing to scoff at. But I mean, this is also just a rocker. It's toxic. Body press, terrifying body press is going to be something that probably happens a good bit too. Maybe not specifically terrifying, but I mean, body press. Steel Beam is a terrible move for this Pokemon, but I mean, it gets Taunt, and it does get Steel Beam, my bad. Steel Roller. There is a Rillaboom team, so Steel Roller might actually be quite useful into that. If you're watching this guy with the Rillaboom team, pretend I didn't say that. Autotomize for nice 30 speed. You know, big, big sweeping potential, definitely. Okay, actually, maybe if I'm getting a little frisky, I'll run a D-Dance build. Don't press your luck on that one, but I might do it. I mean, it's a Steelix. It's a wall. This thing is kind of hard to break. As a Terra Captain, it's only harder to break because I can just Terra around my weaknesses. Even though Steel Ground is a pretty decent type, I could Terra into like Dragon. Maybe not Dragon because they'll just hit me with a ice type move. But actually, that's not a terrible idea. Terra Ghost to potentially spin block if I'm doing a rock build, if I'm stealth rocking. Terra Fighting, like I said, for body press. Terra Rock for head smash. There are a good amount of options for Terra type on this Pokemon, and that's really it actually for Jormungandr. Next up, I wanted a bug. More importantly, I wanted some webs because my team was the team's kind of slow. Like Kilowattrel's kind of fast. Um, Gardevoir's kind of fast. Mega Absol's kind of fast. Okay, well, Kilowattrel's fast, but some slower threats. So I wanted some webs just because webs are nice. Uh, Surprisingly, Spite Ops is actually kind of bulky. Its HP stat is pretty bad, but its defenses are decent for a pure bug type. So it still dies in one hit, but like it can pretend it doesn't. Insomnia, terrible ability unless I'm against like a Smeargle, but I'm just gonna get nuzzled. So I mean Stakeout, also not very good, but it means maybe first impression will do 20% to something instead of 10. But 90% of the time, it's for webs. I mean, like web, silk trap is funny at least. Maybe I'll get to break something because it's slower than me, and then leech life will do the 30% that it needs to die. I don't know. What moves does this thing even get? It gets pain split. I'm pretty sure it gets taunt, but it's too slow to really use it. It gets Trailblaze, it gets U-turn, it gets another Spiker. Yeah, it's just another Spiker in case I want spikes not on Honnold. It gets Knock. I mean, it's not like this Pokemon is completely useless. I just don't see many opportunities where it'll do anything but set up webs. But I mean, hey, webs are always nice. That's Psycho Mantis. It's in all caps. It'll be like that every time. It's funny. Trust me. And then ending off the draft, I still didn't have a spinner. I would have really liked having a spinner. So we got Akuma the Turtonator. You might be wondering, what the hell is a Turtonator? Well, it's a Turtonator. You can see these stats. It's essentially just a shittier Steelix with a better type. But I mean, it gets spin. It gets Willow. Shell Trap is funny, at least. Um, I mean, big damage if they hit me. Like if I can catch a U-turn with it, that would be kind of neat. I don't think it'll ever work, but I can try. It gets it gets Roar and Dragon Tail for phasing. Doesn't it get it's a Shell Smash Pokemon. If it's another case of if I'm ever feeling frisky, I can Shell Smash and still be slower than like half the Pokemon in the draft. But well, hold up, actually, yeah. If I'm timid, 188 times 2, that's like 376. Is that faster than a timid Kilowattrel? No, it is faster than modest Kilowattrel, which means actually it's kind of fast. Wait a minute. I don't actually even have to run wider because I'm bulky enough and I'm slow, so I can actually just tank the hit and then Shell Smash up. Pretty good. Maybe. Hold up. I'm theory crafting as I'm doing this recording. I could mirror herb to counter the mirror herb. I could be kind of silly. I don't even know if that's how that shit works. I'm gonna figure out if that works, and if it does, look out, world. I think that's it for certainty. And that's actually our last Pokemon for the draft. So, I know I wanted to have this up like 3 days ago, but I didn't. So when it's going up, season actually starts, or it started already. I'll be honest with you, I've already done my week 1 and 2 battles. Week 1 it will be uploaded on Sunday, and then every Sunday past then until the league is over. Um, I know I said the same thing for the MCA, and I'm working on it because that needs a whole separate video. But CBL every Sunday until it's over, until we're out. If we're out, unless we win. If we win, we're goaded. This won't disrupt LWCA stuff. That'll still be uploaded every Saturday. Same time. I'm just doing. I'm yeah, yeah. So if you want to watch the CBL matches, of course, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever, all that nonsense. And I will see you back here specifically for the CBL on Sunday. Thanks.